What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Also know I'm a certified empowerment coach and president and CEO of Express Your Vibe Coaching and Communications. We are live streaming tonight on YouTube and on Periscope. So you have two different platforms if you want to engage, ask questions, etc. We're all about it. Also know I'm a certified empowerment coach and president and CEO of Express Your Vibe Coaching and Communications. And people who hang out with me a little bit online, you know that one of the things I absolutely love is inviting new friends to the Dr. Vibe show. And we have another friend on the Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. Her name is Karen Lowe. She has over 13 years worth of experience in business consulting, IT management, organizational operations, management, and freelance consulting. She earned her master's or her MBA at the Schulich School of Business. I hope I said that right. I guess I'm not educated enough to say it right on the first time. At York University in Toronto, with specialization in entrepreneurial studies and strategic management, as well as a Bachelor of Science degree in computer science and a database administration certification. Lady, you educated from working with a team of corporate consultants for a $60 million company to productivity analysis for an international not-for-profit organization to assisting in the startup of numerous family-owned small businesses. Karen has a proven track record success in various scopes of business advising. She's currently CEO of Epigram Consulting Services Incorporated, a business consulting and coaching company that specializes in helping individuals, creatives, entrepreneurs, small to mid-sized businesses with fundamental business needs. She does a lot. She does a lot, but tonight she's going to be here for the next little while talking about a little bit about herself, a little bit about Epigram Consulting, and also a book that she has released called From Dreamer to Creator, Reframing Deterrents in Our Path. So welcome for the first time and not the last time. Karen Lowe, how are you this evening?
I'm good. I am good.
Excellent. How has your day been?
It is getting better because I'm here talking with you. Or conversing with you.
Oh, sharing.
Sharing. I forgot that word, sharing.
Caught you. We've been having a lot of fun pre-live. And again, if anyone has any questions, certainly share them on the YouTube. And for people who are saying, why is Dr. Vibe every once in a while looking down? Because he's just monitoring stuff on his Periscope, on his YouTube, and all these things. So got to make sure that everything works out correctly. And you just heard some noise in the background because the Periscope is on. So no worries. So, like we always do when we have new friends on the Dr. Vibe show. Oh, you know what? We have to say a big shout out too. Who do you think we have to say hello to? You don't know, do you? Nadine! Okay, no problem.
Oh, Nadine.
I'm sure she's watching, and we'll give her big props at the end of our conversation. But what we like to do all the time when we have new friends on is to have them share a little background about yourself. So, Karen, can you share some background, where you grew up, life growing up, etc., with our audience?
So I grew up in Jamaica. I actually moved to Canada in my late 20s. So being in Jamaica, I did all my school, including my undergrad in Jamaica. It was different. I grew up with my mom and 5 siblings, many of us. I went to a boarding school, all girls boarding school, and then I went on to do my undergrad in Kingston. I actually grew up in the country, but I went on to do my undergrad in Kingston. I've always been a reader. I remember always reading. My mom would send me to the store and would actually take her money to buy books just because I needed to read books. And that is where my love of learning comes from. I absolutely love to learn. So I'm currently doing my doctorate at, I'm actually doing my doctorate right now, Doctorate of Business Administration at the Liberty University in Virginia, I think it is. What else?
Well, okay, so you've been an avid reader for most of your life. Where did the influence in reading come from? Was that from your mother?
I'm not sure. When I went to high school, my mom used to borrow books or textbooks in the summer, and we had to read our books in the summer. But I remember being a reader even before then. So I'm not sure where it came from, but I just know that I've always been a reader. And it's different. Like one of my sisters, she doesn't like to read. She hates reading. But we grew up together. So I'm actually not sure where it came from. I just know that I've always been a reader.
Right.
And my mom has always pushed us. My mom is big on education.
Yes.
So she's always pushed us to be educated. That much I'll tell you. So
your mother is a wonderful lady, I can tell already. What were some of her outstanding qualities, especially raising 5 children?
She raised 6 children.
6, sorry.
And there are always others who are there who are not really hers, but then it was the whole taking a community. It takes community to raise a child. My mother was a big part of that community. But so in Jamaica, they call it hustling.
Yep.
But they're actually informal entrepreneurs. Like my mom, like she's a hard worker. Even now she works hard. Like she's always working. You have to say, Mom, stop, relax, take a break. But she's always a worker. And so education was big for her, and just pushing and making sure. She had this saying that her children had to get more than she did, had to do better than she did. That was one of the things I remember growing up. She didn't get past grade 6, but her children had to go all the way to the next level. That was one of the things about her that I'll never forget. Wow. And even now, she still supports us in every single thing that we want to do.
That's fantastic. Just want to shout out people who are joining in via Periscope and also YouTube. On the Periscope side, I want to say a big shout out to This Is Eileen, a great supporter and a great friend all the way out in California. So she's tuning in. So thank you so much, This Is Eileen, for your continuous support. It's appreciated and not taken for granted. How was education in Jamaica all those years? Because I am of Jamaican heritage, so I know about education in Jamaica, but I feel that the majority of our viewers, whether live on the replay, don't know much about what the education system is like in Jamaica. Can you give some insight on what it was like for you in Jamaica in the education system?
So there was the school part of it, and then there's a home part of it. So, and it's Jamaica, like it's very competitive as well. So here in Canada, I think, and I'm assuming North America, they don't grade you, but in Jamaica they do. So you're either first, second, third, all the way down to 35 or 40, whatever the number of kids in the classroom. And that, I think, have a psychological effect on you in wanting to do better. It was, I don't know, like you were required, you were pushed to succeed. Like succeeding was not an if or whatever, like it was a must. And because of the competitive environment that you're in, it forces you to actually work harder. We always got homework. There's a debate in Canada now wherein some parents think that homework is bad. In Jamaica, homework was a must. And I felt that helped you. It helped your parents to know where you're at, how you're doing. And I don't know, that for me it should be a must, homework. We did stuff like spelling bee, again, competitive. You did it at a local level, you did it at a national level. We have school challenge quiz at the national level. There are always these different things to help us to actually get to the next level. You had primary school or all-age school from grade 1 to 6. Then high school for us started at grade 7 to 11. And then you went on to either do your A-levels, community college, and then you went on to university university.
Okay. Did you find going through the education system in Jamaica difficult at all?
For me, I loved learning. I was always determined. I had a goal. I wanted to be a doctor. So for me, I always had to look at the end goal. When I started out first, I wasn't an A student when I started out. But I eventually got to being an A student because I got extra help. So because of my determination, my mom pushing me and knowing that she will not tolerate failure would not be nice. So that pushed me to actually become better at every level. And so I don't know. I don't know if I would say it was a challenge per se, but it was interesting.
Okay. Fair enough. Now, what was the cause for you leaving Jamaica and coming to Canada?
I was working at the time and I was bored. I actually was restless. I was at a point in my life where I didn't know what I wanted to do, if I was doing what I wanted to do. My friends were all migrating and I'm like, okay, let me try it as well. And so I applied to come to Canada through their skills program. And I came up here. I struggled for a while when I just came. Again, I was still at that point, what do I really, really want to do? But entrepreneurship was always in me, and I think that kind of helped me to get to the next level in terms of what do I do. I applied for law school, I didn't get in. I applied for my MBA, I got in, and I had done, for my undergraduate in Jamaica, I had done some business as well as computers, so I knew what the business field was like. But once I got into doing the MBA, I just fell in love all over again, and I just pushed stuff from there in terms of my career path.
I just want to cycle back a bit. Was it hard for you to leave Jamaica, to leave home?
No, and a part of it was, so I'm close to my family. I'm really, really close to my family. At that point, my mom was here in Canada at the time.
Okay.
My sisters were still in Jamaica, but I was living in Kingston by myself while they were living in Montego Bay. So I was kind of by myself anyway. So coming here, all my friends by that time, we had all been leaving within a couple of months of each other.
Right.
So my foundation wasn't what it was to begin with. So it wasn't a big deal to leave at that point.
Okay. You had mentioned that you applied for law school, didn't get in. Was that a disappointment, and how did you handle that?
So it was a disappointment because I hate hearing no.
Okay.
So in the moment, in the moment, it was a disappointment. But when I look at my life, where I am right now is where God wanted me to be.
Okay.
So when I stop sometimes, and especially when I get discouraged, I really have to stop and say, okay, a million years ago, I said to God, I wanted to be a doctor. And I took different paths in terms of where I thought it would lead me, but God decided nope. So when I look at the path that I'm going towards, I needed to do every single thing that happened to me. I needed to go through it. I shouldn't have been going to law school in the first place. Right. I should have been doing business because that is where I needed to be. That's what I told God I wanted to do. So God, in hindsight, knew what I needed, what I'd asked for, and what He intended to give me. And so every time I get discouraged, I stop, I take a step back, and I say, okay, where am I supposed to be? What is it that God wants for me? And it's always a positive. It's always a positive.
Excellent. So. Excellent. It's not easy to get in the school. I can't say it. Schulich. I don't know. School of Business. I can't get that right. I guess I don't have an MBA, so I'm not allowed to pronounce it correctly. Was it difficult to get into that business course?
When I say God worked things out for me, I mean God worked things out for me. When I applied, a friend of mine who is actually, she taught at the university level, she's actually a doctorate, and she said to me, it's good to apply to more than one schools just in case you don't get into one. And I said to her, you know what, this is where I want to go, and this is where I'm going to go. And so that's the only school I applied for.
Wow.
And at the time, I didn't understand the rankings and something being a big school. I really didn't understand it. I'm like, I just want to go to do business. I had gone to UFT. I didn't really like I'd gone to talk to them about it. I didn't like what I was hearing, while I liked what I was hearing at Schulich. And so I just applied to Schulich. And when I got in, and I remember my grades, so I had, from Jamaica, I did have a lower class honors degree. But my GMAT that I was supposed to, that you have to do to get in, my grade wasn't the highest of all my classmates.
Right.
And I remember being in the recruitment office. They were helping me to get jobs. And I remember her looking at my file and she said to me, your GMAT grade is not all that high. How did you get in? And I remember thinking to myself, I am a child of God. I am a child. And these are the things that really reinforce the fact that I'm not doing this on my own.
Right.
I'm doing it through the grace of God. And I feel like I need that to not make my head get too big. I need to recognize that at any moment, once I start taking the credit for it and not giving it to God, then He can take it back from me. So I don't mind when people say things like that to me, because honestly, I need to be reminded that all of this happened because of the grace of God.
Fantastic. So, how was your experience going through Schulich?
Surely.
Got it. I got it. I got it right once. I'm not going to try and say it again for the rest of the conversation. Schulich. I said it twice. Right. One more time. Schulich. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Done deal. Me done.
But it was an awesome, awesome experience for me. It was amazing. One of the things I wanted to get the full experience.
Right.
I told myself my school fee was not cheap.
No.
Oh my God. That's another story. Just paying my school fee is a whole different story. So I told myself that I was going to get the best of it. And so I got involved in every single thing. I got involved in student life. So it was communications. I think the screen is frozen. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you. Keep on going.
Okay. I got involved in student life. So I was the communications director for it. So I worked on the yearbooks. And the first year actually was communications coordinator for my group, my grade, my class. And then the final year, the 2-year degree, I was the communications director for the entire MBA program.
Congratulations.
Then, thank you. And then, so because of that role, I was involved in a lot of things. So I was able to go to a lot of events with the dean, with certain persons considered VIPs. So I was able to expose myself to certain persons, which I loved. Another thing I did was I wanted to meet as many persons as possible. And so one of the things I love about Schulich's program is that you have to do a group assignment for every single class you do. And so for every class, I try to find a different group of persons. So I try not to be in the same group with any one person. And this allowed me to meet as many persons as possible. The Black in the school was a minority, but I still was interested in everybody else's culture. So I'm always talking to persons about their culture, how they did, like that sort of thing. But for me, it was an awesome, awesome experience. And I always encourage people, don't do a 1-year degree, do a 2-year MBA, and try and get involved as much as possible because you meet friends for life. The experiences are just mind-blowing. The things that you hear a lot of negatives about persons. You actually see the best of humanity in that situation I found. And so for me, it was really, really awesome.
Tell people how tough it is to get into that school because it's not easy.
Honestly, it was, I had to write, I can't even remember how many, but I remember one of the papers I had to write to get in. You had to write several papers to get in. Yeah. I think one of them was 5,000 words.
Wow.
Another was 7,500. I don't remember how, but they were, at the time, they just seemed like a mountain to climb. But I did it. Thank God for my mother. She's always helping me, reading over my stuff. And this is a lady. It's funny because I'll tell parents, so I do youth work, or I used to do a lot of youth work. I don't do as much anymore, but I tell parents, it doesn't matter what your education degree level is, you can actually help your children. Get involved with it. My mother told me some stories about when we were younger. I didn't know that my mother couldn't read at one point, couldn't read properly at one point. She said she'd actually see her homework and she'd tell us to go and redo it, but she had no clue what he was saying. I'm like, say what now? My mom used to help us with spelling. I like, how do you do that? But my mother, in my opinion, is one of the smartest persons I know, because she really, really helped me through that process. My community, again, helped me in that process. I have a friend, Dr. Bernice Moreau. She actually taught at the university level, the doctoral level, and she also helped me to encourage me to look over my stuff, to tell me what the expectations are. There's a GMAT exam that I'm like, you know what? If I have to do that exam again, I'm not doing it ever again. But it was another really, really hard. And the thing why it was hard for me is the education system in Jamaica was different from the education system.
Absolutely. Totally different.
So for me to do the math and the reading comprehension and the English language from the North American perspective, it was really challenging for me, but I did it. I got through it. Thank God. It's all good.
Absolutely. Something tells me that you got a lot of your toughness from your mother. I
did. I think I did. Like, honestly, she is, I think she needs to write a book on parenting. Like, honestly, she didn't have just 6 kids to raise. She had her siblings. Like, she's just always there helping others. Even now, she will support any young person because she says she has her kids who she needs the strangers to support. So she literally supports a lot of people because she's looking at the blessings for her children. Like, that's just a mindset that she has, and she's awesome. She's awesome.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Again, thanks again, everyone who's jumping in either via YouTube or Periscope. And feel free if you have any questions, comments. I'm monitoring in real time, and I am multitasking. I know that most people say guys can't multitask, but I always say guys can't multitask, men can. Males can't, men can. So test me out on the multitasking front. So take us back to the day that you graduated. What memories do you have?
I was floating.
Beautiful.
I literally floated off the stage. And a part of it was there weren't a lot of Black persons in that auditorium that day. And just the feeling, oh my God, I did it. Like, my first semester was really, really hard. I didn't know I would have gotten to the end of it. It was so hard financially, mentally, everything was just hard. And so that day, I still remember the feeling of just floating. I was above it all. I was like, oh my God, like that was just the whole thing for me. It was amazing. To this day, I still have the feeling, and I don't know if on graduation day for my doctorate I'm going to feel that same way or even better. But for that day, it's something that's always going to be in my memory. It was amazing.
Just out of curiosity, was your mother there?
Of course, my mother was there.
Hey, easy now. Just a question. Hey, you never know. Life happens.
No. My mother was there, front and center. She had to be there. Like,
wonderful.
She was there.
So, after you graduated, what was your next part of your journey?
So again, but God. When I graduated during the recession.
Oh.
No jobs, there was nothing. And the funny thing about it was, when I did entrepreneurial studies as my specialization, but then I was looking for corporate jobs. And I've always wanted to own my business. It didn't make any sense at the time.
No, it didn't.
Sorry, let me rephrase it. Now it doesn't make any sense. At the time, I'm like, I thought it was what I wanted to do, but I'm like, why? You always wanted to own your own business. You did entrepreneurial studies to be able to own your own business. So why are you looking for corporate jobs? But I didn't. And somebody who did the MBA with me said to me, how about if we use our thesis problem and actually start a company? And I'm like, okay, let's try it. And so we did. I am one of those persons who I just have to move. Once I have an idea, I have to just go for it. So I do my research, I put everything in place, all of that stuff. The partner I was working with at the time was a little bit different. He was more slow to the take and all that stuff. And so it didn't work out for us. So I went my way, he went his way. At the time, we were focusing a lot on exporting. And then once I started on my own and I started looking in my community and seeing my community, I recognized the need for just a basic business education in terms of, so there are all these people who have this awesome skill. They're great at what they do. But when it comes to the business side of things, just even motivating themselves, there's always a reason as to why they can't do it. And so I ended up going that path in terms of working with I call them hobbyists because they have a hobby. They're working their job. They tell themselves they can't. And so my job is to come in but I didn't want to just do it for them. I wanted to help them to understand what it was that they were doing, because I'm like that. The first year I moved to Canada, I did my own taxes because I needed to know what it was like to do my own taxes.
Okay.
The first year, I still do my cousin's taxes for her to this day because that's just who I am. I have to understand what it is that somebody's doing for me. And so I wanted my clients to be like that. They needed to know what it was that I was doing. They needed to learn the business side of things. They needed to like to think like an entrepreneur, not like a photographer or a baker, or they needed to think differently. And so that was my business model that I changed over to. And it was mostly within my community because that's where I saw the need for it.
Okay, so let's roll back a bit now. You were studying for corporate employment, but you ended up doing entrepreneur. So when did the entrepreneurial mindset come in? Because I didn't hear you sharing about that growing up.
Okay, so as a child, right? So here's the thing. My mother is an entrepreneur. Like she's,
right.
They call themselves hustler, but that's what it is. It's something that's in your DNA as a Jamaican. You have to work for yourself. So as a young child, I read a book, and I'll never forget. I read a book wherein I wanted to be. So at one point in my life, I wanted to be a flight attendant. I went to school. I did an assignment, what I wanted to be when I grew up, when I was in high school in Jamaica. When I interviewed the flight attendants, I realized, yeah, this is not challenging enough for me. This won't happen. And so later down, I read a book with this entrepreneur in it. And I remember thinking I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to own my own business. However, once I went to school, like it's funny that this is how God works for me. There's some things that I say I want to do and I'll pray about it and I'll say, God, I want to do this. But then I forget because of other things happening in life. And God always brings it back to me. So when I was in high school, I really wanted to do business. And then when I did my undergrad, I did some business courses, but most of my courses were actually, my specialization was computer studies. So then, which is how I was able to get into a business school, because I did have some background in business. But again, it was kind of at the back of my mind. I just want to go to school and get my master's. But then I ended up, again, I chose the path of being an entrepreneur. That, like all my courses, most of my courses, apart from my core courses, were entrepreneurial studies, business, creating business, venture capitalist, new firm creation. I'm trying to remember project management. Most of my courses were actually to be able to own your own business, to run a business.
Right.
But when I was doing the employment side of things, just the year before you finish school, you start looking for jobs, you start talking to people. I was looking to corporate Canada.
Right.
But really and truly, I had no business doing that. Because my studies says entrepreneurial studies. Like, that's what it said. Right. That's what my degree is in, entrepreneurial studies. So I had no business doing that. But I didn't realize it until after the fact. And again, this is just God coming back and saying, this is where you need to be going. And for me, I tell people, I believe in God. That's my higher being. It's not of myself. None of us do anything of ourselves. And I know a lot of people out there thinking, no, it's me. It's not. But I thank God that he's actually consistently in my life. That's one of the things my mom gave me, the Christian belief, the prayer, the going up. And so, yeah, like a lot of times I forgot what I wanted to be, where I wanted to go, what I wanted to be doing. I was in the moment. I was a hustler in the moment. And that's the problem. That was the problem for me anyway. But God worked it out.
Excellent. Well, I want to shout out two people here. Nicole Bedeau, who is the driving force of Black Leopard PR, who arranges epic conversations. So want to say hopefully her, the child to be, and her main man are doing fine. And also want to shout out Louise Noel Ambrose. Thank you so much for sharing this conversation on the Twitter and social media. And I told you, I can multitask, so I'm catching it. So thanks so much. I appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the conversation. It's epic as always. And if you have any questions, please ask, provide more commentary. So I want to get a little background on how Epigram Consulting started, and especially how did you come up with the name Epigram?
Okay, so the name, it wasn't anything over the top. At the time, I was working with somebody else, and both of us came up together with the name, and it had to do with exporting, and we went through the technical way of doing it. But then once we parted ways, and I looked at the meaning of the word epigram, poem, a little poem, and then I looked at what my clients were doing, I decided to keep the name. So our tagline, your business masterpiece, or innovative tools. And it's because the business that they're doing, it's their creation, it's their poem, it's their story. And we're just there to just put a little bit of tools in place to help them along the way. And so I felt the name, in hindsight, again, God doing his thing, in hindsight was perfect for what it signifies. Because epigram is actually a tiny poem. That's what the word actually means.
So and you discovered that after you had named the company.
After the fact. So trust me, like honestly, all of this, it's a miracle. It is literally a miracle working. Even meeting Nicole was a miracle.
Well, just a sidelight. How did that happen?
So after I wrote a little book, From Dreamer to Creator, Reframing Deterrents in Our Path, and I was doing again all of this miracle. I was doing book signings at Indigo. And I was book signing. Husband came up to me and was talking to me about the book. And he goes, my wife is into stuff like this. Let me go get her. And he came She came back, we're talking, and then she reached out to me afterwards, did the interview, all that stuff. But it was just, I was in Toronto, and it's funny because the store I went to, the Indigo I went to in Toronto, I haven't been back. I don't know if I'm going to be going back to that store, but yeah, it was a miracle that she's there the day that I happened to be there.
So it was her husband that introduced. So, hey, so here's another myth, people. There is intelligent black men out there. Just wanted to put that out there, okay? So
she was somewhere in the store, and he was walking by. He goes, "Let me go and get my wife," and she came, and yeah. Well,
Nicole, if that's the man in your life, you're done good. I'm telling you, you're done good. So you mentioned it there, and we'll parking lot your company for a second. You mentioned about the book. So what is the book about? Give us a little background and the story behind the book.
So most of my clients, they come with, all right, so most of the anecdotes in the book you're going to find are actually about my clients. And some of it is me, to be honest. So a lot of us are procrastinators. Most of us, all of us are procrastinators. We procrastinate about one thing or another. A lot of us don't, they don't go for stuff because they're afraid of it. Like they really, really want something, but they don't go for it, they're afraid of it. Some people say they don't have enough time. Some people say they have no money. And so I was at home one day. I was actually in Jamaica. I had moved back to Jamaica for about 3 years or so to help my sister with her business. And I was still doing my thing in Canada because of Skype. Shout out to Skype. So I was still doing my thing in Canada, still having clients in Canada, doing my thing in Jamaica. And then one of the things I do, I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm always looking for training sessions. So I was doing this training session on how to write and publish your own book. And when I was done with the book, when I was done with the session, I literally had an outline for a book. And I literally had an outline for a book. And so from dreamer to creator, we're all dreamers. I'm a dreamer. Every single one of us, there's something that we want to do, but we don't always go for it because of all these different things that we tell ourselves why we shouldn't. And so that was my outline. I put in different chapters within the book. And the next thing you know, 2 months later, I'm putting something out to say that I'm going to be a published author on Amazon. I ended up publishing a book. That's it.
Okay, hold on. How long was it from the time you thought about it till the book was published?
So I think, let's say, I started in September, but within 2 months, I was now sending it out to get feedback and to get it, what do you call it, proofread. So really and truly, the first 2 weeks, so the day I was actually doing the training, I wrote down stuff on what I wanted to write. 2 weeks later, I was done my outline. Then one of the things that the training says to do is you're to set a timeline. And so I set a timeline. I wanted a 20,000 word book. And so I'm going to take 10 days to write 2,000 words per day. And that was my timeline.
Okay. So hold on a second. Where did you get this discipline from? No, I think it's fantastic because you just thought of an idea and you said, bam, and you just committed yourself to it. Is that mom again?
It probably is. It probably is. I don't know, but I'm also one of those persons who I want something. It's hard for me to work with. I'm the worst person to have a partner in business or in anything apart from life because of the fact that once I'm going to go for something, I'm going to go for it, and you cannot hold me back. Holding me back is not an option.
You know what they call people like that, and I'm saying this respectfully? You're a beast. And that's a compliment. That means you're just focused. It's not over until you win.
But listen, it's not also about me either. I surround myself with positive people.
Very good.
So there were times in the process when I really didn't want to go any further, when my sisters or my friends would say, suck it up, let's just go do this, or look at it from a different perspective. There was a time when I was stuck. So I had the outline, a lot of the chapters were written in, but I was under my 20,000 words, and I was stuck. And I said to my sister, okay, I'm done. I don't know what else to do. I can't go any further. And she says to me, read over the book. Read over what you have written already and take it from there. When I did that, I added another 4,000 words. Simple as that. But I had something to say, and that's what it says, right? That there was actually information that needed to be said. The other time was my next discouragement was, what if nobody wanted to read this book? What if nobody's interested in this book? And she says to me, there's always somebody who thinks like you. You're not the only person who thinks the way you do. And so go and find those people. And it's funny because she's telling me things that I actually tell my clients. But there are times when you know something, but then you need somebody else to tell you, to encourage you. Yes. But I do surround myself with positive people who will always be there to encourage me to just go on to the next level. But
you know, you've shared some very interesting insights, and I just wanted to go over them to people who are watching this live on the replay. First of all, surrounding yourself with only positive people. That is very, very important, not only in business, but in life. As I call it, I only deal with OQP, only quality people. I say, you know, and also to having those people that will push you when you're stuck. Very important. So I want to incorporate in this conversation, especially with entrepreneurship, how important are relationships when you're an entrepreneur?
They are so important. And when you talk about relationships, I'm going to talk about communities.
Okay.
So, and the relationships within these communities, that's the best way for you to start what you're doing. And hopefully your community is a positive one. If not, find another one.
Yes,
and there's
please.
so many different communities.
Yes.
But a lot of times my family will say, do you remember, no, remember, American Idol? There are people who would be on the show and they would sound really, really horrible. And then there are people who they say that their family or their friends will tell them that you sounded really, really good, and so you should go. You need not just positive feedback, but you need quality feedback.
Honest.
So that you're not doing the wrong thing. Because there are times when you'll end up in the wrong area. And somebody told me recently that because somebody's not doing well in one particular area doesn't mean that they're useless. It just means that they belong somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so having a community is important, wherein it's a bigger voice telling you. So you're going to get some positive, some negative, and somewhere in between. And then you now need to figure out what is what. And that's why I say a community as opposed to just positive relationships, because you need to be able to know, am I on the right path? Is this really where I belong, or should I be? Because otherwise you're going to give up. You're going to walk away when it doesn't work itself out for you. And then they're also your testers. So whatever product or services that you're coming out with, you're going to test it on this community. And then you're going to know where I need to be going. Trust me, they love you. They're going to be honest with you. And so your community is so important in terms of just being out there doing your entrepreneurial stuff.
We've got a wonderful comment here from Louise Noel Ambrose saying, women/individuals looking to succeed must become focus. She puts focus in capital letters, hashtag, AK, also known as Beast, and surrounding themselves with like-minded quality people. So this is good. And I will just share from my perspective too on the number of things that I'm blessed to do. Also, make sure that you have some people in your community that know more about things than you do.
Yep. That is so true. And I talk about this lady, Dr. Bernice Moreau, who helped me with my book. But even outside of that, my mother, keep coming back to my mom. So I am the formal, organized type of business, while my mother is a hustler. But then even within my community, there are lots of other business persons who have actually gotten to the top, or they're ahead of me, who they were able to actually give me advice. And some of it was just shared relationships, wherein I'm helping them, they're helping me. But then I was always able to call on people who have to me, this is what you're doing wrong, or this is what you need to do next. I still reach out to some of my Shule professors who are actually in business so that I can actually get some feedback from them in terms of how to make it happen. So that's positive.
Wonderful. I want to get back to the book. What does the book cover? What are some of the subjects that you cover in the book? Or it's, from what you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, it almost sounds like it's stories that you've either dealt
so
with?
You're frozen again.
Okay. It's stories that either you have had personally or some of your clients have dealt with that you share. Obviously, you probably change your names, but is that basically the gist of the book?
It is and it's not. So it's a combination of two. So one of them is reframing fear. And I talk about the fact that fear, like a lot of us are afraid of whatever it is. And then I use an example. So I talk about fear, what fear is, and then I use an example in terms of someone who I asked them to do something and they wouldn't do it. And they wouldn't do it. They kept putting it off. Because one of the things I do, I client homework. So this is what we need to deal with. Let's say we're going to talk about differentiation. A lot of them don't know what that is. So now they have to figure out how to differentiate themselves in the market. So this is what we're going to be talking about. This is what we're going to be developing. So this particular client, I asked him to do it over and he wouldn't. And at some point later on, he goes, I'm actually afraid. Like he was afraid to get to the next level. He was constantly afraid. So I talk about what the situation is, and then I use an example as to somebody else. How do you see fear and how do you get past it? So even though you're afraid, and I am afraid, I'm always afraid. I am afraid, but I put one foot forward, the next going, and I just do it. I just do my thing. But I'm even with everything that I've done, I'm still scared some days in going to the next level. So I actually talk about another time money. Money is also a big issue for a lot of people, and when I was going to Schulbeck, first day of school, I had no idea as to how my school fee was going to be paid. At the time, I didn't have the money in my bank account. School fee was $10,000.
How much?
For one semester.
How much? Can you say that again for one semester?
$10,000.
Okay, now you can go on.
I had no money in my bank account. I kid you not. I had to have paid down $2,500. My family actually gave me that $2,500 to hold the spot. September, when I went to school, I still did not pay it. I did not know how it was going to be paid. I went to the finance office and I said to them, I don't have any money. What do you suggest?
Oh, gosh. Okay.
What do you suggest? And she said to me, first of all, why didn't you apply before? I'm like, where would I have applied? I don't know. There's no form. There's nothing. Where would I have applied? She's like, well, the thing was the time for them to do the grant and all that stuff is closed. I'm like, well, I started crying. Tears literally running out of my eyes. I'm like, well, I need to go to school. I need this and I have no money. She's like, okay, fine. Let's try something. Let's put your name through for the application. You can apply for a student loan through the government at the same time, and then we'll take it from there. So anyway, I ended up paying $5,000 in grants for that one semester.
Wow.
And I also got student loans, so my school fee was paid for the first year, but guess what? I still didn't figure it out again. But my point is, I didn't say because I have no money, I'm not going to apply. Because I have no money, I'm not going to start. And some of these are the things I talk about. Do it anyway. Start the process. So in terms of if you want to start your business, start with a business plan. Start with talking to people. Start with researching. Start with figuring out. For example, a lot of people love to cook. You have social media nowadays wherein you can cook your meal, put it out in a nice little platter, and then advertise it on social media. Or you can take some food to work and share it with your boss and let them know how good a cook you are, a chef or whatever it is that you are. There are some companies that will actually hire their staff to do certain things. So these are the things that you can do even if you have no money to actually start your business. You can literally start something without having the money in front of you. So
I think that's a very interesting concept. And I think one of the things I tell people, when the dream is big, the facts don't matter. And I think what you've just shared with us is a perfect example that when your dream is big,
it doesn't matter.
And it's the right dream, and it also helps a lot of people, you're on the right path.
It really, just go for it. People say they have no time. This is another thing that I really, really want us to stop saying. I don't have the time. We have so much time, it's crazy.
Hey, everyone has the same amount of time every day.
You you're waiting around a lot. So even though you have you go to work, you have your lunch break, don't go straight home from work. Go somewhere else, go to a coffee shop or somewhere and literally start doing some work on whatever the project is that you're trying to do. But the time issue is such a big one. Fair, time, money, procrastination. Recognize that you're a procrastinator, I am. And so I set soft deadlines. I'm talking a lot about the book. I set soft deadlines. So even though my assignment is due on Saturday at midnight, I need to try and get most of it done by Thursday night at midnight. And Friday, I am getting somebody, whether my mom or my friend, to look over to see, does this make sense to you? And then I'm doing additional research. I'm listening to hearing what the professor is going to say to me based on past feedback that I've gotten. Do I need to add this? So for me, I have soft deadlines. Even with my clients, have a soft deadline and then your hard deadline. That way, even though you're procrastinating, you really are. That's who you are, but you're still working around the procrastination piece of who you are.
Excellent. You had mentioned earlier on in the last few moments of our conversation, I want to highlight on this. You talked about, now, let me roll back here. Are the challenges that you just shared with us common in the Black community that you've dealt with?
Yes, that's where I got most of it from, the Black community. Here's the thing that I've learned. You have you have successful people, and then when you look at the majority of the voices that you're not hearing, it is not what the masses believe it is. So people will say, oh, you don't have to go to school. And really and truly, you really don't have to go to school and get a degree, get a master's or whatever it is. Or some people say you don't have to go to college, you can finish high school. And there are lots of people out there who do that and succeed. But are you one of those persons? And there are lots of persons who haven't, and they're struggling. They really, really are struggling. So what I get from the people who are not in the limelight, let's call it that, who in the face, there are a lot of people who are struggling, who actually need this type of help, but then nobody knows about them, because we tend to promote a lot of the successful ones, and the successful ones will talk to persons and tell them how to get it done, and they are helping persons in their own space. I'm helping persons in my own space, but there's so many more that needs help.
Makes sense. No, I tell people I need help. That's why I help people. Simple. I just keep it simple like that. Do you feel, and I'll stick it to the Black community. I like to say Black environment. Black community is always an interesting term, but that the Black environment should be more than ever looking at entrepreneurship than ever before?
Yes and no. The reason, yes, because we still have we need to start early. So right now, if we start from our children at home, I think we will do way better. But on the flip side of it, not everybody should be an entrepreneur.
Agreed.
And because of your personality, a lot of people jump into wanting to be an entrepreneur when it's not their thing. But you should be exposed to it at an early age to be able to understand if this is yours or this is not for you. That way, I was talking to somebody recently who she did her degree, and when she started working in the field, she recognized this is not what she was meant to be doing. And so if she had been exposed to that earlier, she would have done something else. So now she's doing it. She's going into entrepreneurship. And it's funny because her entire family is about entrepreneurship. But she didn't, and that is where her bent is. But that was not where she initially wanted to go. And I think it was because she wasn't, as much as it was introduced to her, informally, it was introduced to her at a formal level. So I feel like if we do it formally, maybe in the classroom from an early age, it probably make a big difference. And then we add it on with our parents or family. So our parents will go to work and they're doing their entrepreneurial stuff, but they're not bringing us into it as much. So technically, my mom didn't really bring me into it. So I used to go to her workplace a lot. My mother was a dressmaker. That's what she used to pay my school fee growing up. She was a dressmaker. And I would be at her workplace all the time. But to this day, I don't like sewing. I really don't like it. When I was in high school, my mom used to do my, I don't remember but we had to do some type of sewing in high school. And my mom used to do that homework for me. She used to help me with those assignments because I hated it. I still do. But she was an entrepreneur growing up. And that's why I saw, because after school, I would go there and I would be in her shop and all that stuff. But I wasn't drawn to that particular thing per se, but I was drawn to entrepreneurship at a different environment, whatever. So I don't know, there should be a way for us to educate your children formally as well as informally for us to be able to, for them to understand what their bent is. But a lot of persons who I've worked with, they have no business doing entrepreneurship.
Wow.
And that's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
No, it isn't. But how in those examples, how did you realize that they weren't for entrepreneurship?
Because of the drive, like working for yourself. You need to push. You need to push. You need to push. You need to push. And when nobody's looking at you, you need to be able to sit down and do it. So when they kept coming back to me week after week, and still not able to get through the next level, there are people actually tell them, we close off the relationship. Like, this is not for you. I think you need to take a break, because they just couldn't. They would not be able to mentally get to the next level. And the thing about entrepreneurship is, it's one thing when you're afraid. It's one thing when you have no money, but if you're not able to get past those obstacles, then you're stuck. And it doesn't make sense you keep doing it for the next 5-6 years and then you're not going anywhere. But it takes a while working with me to figure it out. Some people anyway, and others I'll see from the get-go. But some people, they shouldn't be doing. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
What are some of the services that Epigram Consulting Services offers to their clients?
So I do this thing called a one-page business plan, where I help you to, and this is just basic. So I help you with your mission and your vision statement, your objectives, your strategies, and your plans, how you're going to get it going. So the objectives usually talk about what they want to do within the next 12 months to 3 years, whether it be money, whether it be I want to have X amount of clients. So to help them through the one-page business plan. And the reason for the one-page business plan is doing a full business plan upfront is very daunting, and it turns a lot of people off, and they end up doing nothing.
Yep.
So to get past that, for them to get started, if you are able to see what the objectives are, so within the next 12 months, I need to have X amount of clients. So you need, let's say you're a, what do you call those people that, let's say you are a trainer, personal trainer.
Personal trainer, fitness.
Yeah. So let's say you want to have, I don't know, 100 clients in the next 12 months.
Right.
Then you can look at aligning yourself with corporations, with companies, literally going into companies and offering free sessions to a group at a certain time. And then from there, you can build up your clientele from those companies. That's simpler than just going to one person. And then what are you going to do? So you're going to actually go to certain where you actually meet certain type of persons who, whether the HR, whatever department it is, comes under within these companies, so you can actually get a little in to actually go in and do your sessions after work or during lunchtime. And so you're going to go to 3 or 4 of those sessions per month is what your plans are. And then from there, you build your 100 for the end of the year. You just keep going. Then the other thing that we do, we work with them over 6 months. So we start off with, that's because I want to tell you what the correct thing is. I'm going to read it. So we look at financial projection as well. Again, money is important. So you need to plan. A lot of us fall short in terms of, a lot of us fall short in terms of budgeting. We really don't know what budgeting is, how planning is, all of that stuff. So we help them with the financial projection. We do a product or service differentiation. There are lots and lots of photographers. I work with lots of photographers, and you'd be surprised as to how many of them just pick up their cameras and they're just gonna take pictures. Yep. They don't do training. They don't focus on one particular area, and so they're just one little person to see. So if you're able to specialize in something in an area, then you're gonna find that you get better at that one area over and over. And then you can look at, with product differentiation, I also encourage them to look at the national market, the international market, the local market. So look at the international market and take something that's not in the local market and bring it to the local market to be able to differentiate yourself. By the time everybody has decided to do that, you're going to be bringing something else in, and so on and so forth. New product service development, portfolio development, marketing and selling of their final or new version of their product. So these are some of the things that we work with. So I either do a one-off, or I just do straight up just consulting. So we just talk about stuff. I encourage them to go to the next level, to do this, to do that, that sort of thing. So coaching, straight up consulting, which comes with training, and then the one-page business plan is a one-off thing.
So as we wind down our epic conversation, Here's a interesting thing. What's the most challenging thing you deal with, and what's the most gratifying thing that you deal with?
The most challenging thing in terms of what?
With clients.
Committing. It's challenging to get them to commit, because the reason they come to me in the first place is because they're struggling with that piece of it, right? The commitment part and just sticking. So that for me is really, really a challenge. And I have to be creative in figuring out who this person is. What is there? Which part of them can I touch to actually get them to do this thing? So there's something that they love. And so I have to figure out who they are and use that thing to kind of reel them in and pull them in. And just, it's that part for me, it's challenging. Because for me, I can see the success. I picture it. I always tell them to actually create a photo of what it is that your end goal is. So for me, I can actually see my company and what it's going to look like. So they need to see what their company is going to be, what it's going to look like. So that is one of the tools I use to help them, but that's a challenging piece. The successful part of it is just when they get to, when they go over a hurdle. So let's say they finally understand what product differentiation is, and they start getting in the clients that they want. That for me is always encouraging for me when I get to the point where, okay, good, you can stand on your own, I can now leave you. That for me is the successful part of working with them, because then they've achieved what they actually hired me to achieve in terms of that.
I'm fascinated. How are so many photographers finding out about you?
Word of mouth.
Excellent.
So, yeah, word of mouth. And even now, it's funny because I'm actually winding down on how many clients I'm able to take on.
Oh my, what a problem.
I know, but because I'm doing school, like school itself is a huge thing. And I also have a corporate client that I have to spend a lot of time on. So I'm winding down on it. But I'm still able to just do one-on-one. Not the long-term relationships. I do a few of them, but I'm limited as to what I can do. But it's just word of mouth and just people talking about me. And then Nicole is now pushing me out there.
Is she? You're kidding. Yes. Nicole. My goodness.
So she's doing an awesome job in her PR thing.
Of course.
So that's another piece of it as well. But yeah.
So are the majority of your clients male or female? Female. And majority of your clients of color or not of color?
Color.
That didn't take long.
You know what? I don't mind it because I really love the idea that I'm working with my community to effect change. So I really have no problem with that.
Excellent. As we're winding down here, just want to shout out to Be Happier Today has joined us on the Periscope, and definitely check out her scopes. She does about 70 million periscopes a day. No, just joking. A minimum of 2 periscopes a day, and does outstanding coaching and outstanding periscopes. So thank you for dropping by Be Happier Today. Any final words you have with us? Because I know you've got work to do.
Always. Final words. Honestly, set goals. So set goals. That's what I always do. I set goals for myself. So if I want to do something, my book is a perfect example. I set a goal and I just go for it. I set soft goals, not just hard goals. And just remember, you can, whatever it is that you want to do, it's possible. It is possible. Like, it is just possible. We have our mobile devices nowadays, so we can do almost any single thing that we want to do on the go. And so just go for it. And you can pick up a copy of my book if you need more encouragement.
Yes.
It's on Amazon. All the Amazons. It's actually on indigo.ca as well. So you can actually pick it up at indigo.ca and read it.
We're global here. So Indigo's Canada, but Amazon is global.
Amazon is everywhere, so you can get it everywhere. Somebody in Japan actually bought my book. I have no clue who that person is.
Well, find out and thank them if you can.
Oh, I talk about it all the time, so hopefully they're hearing me and they'll know.
That is great. Well, if people want to find out more information about you, how can they do that?
So I am on Twitter, Epigram Consulting. I am on, and there's also my personal, Karen Lowe 293. I am on Instagram, again, Epigram Consulting, or personal from Dreamer to Creator. I'm on Facebook, Epigram Consulting. There's a website, epigramconsulting.com. There is, which other one is there? Twitter, Facebook,
LinkedIn,
website.
LinkedIn.
I'm on LinkedIn, Karen Lowe, Karen M. Lowe on LinkedIn. And yeah, I just I'm always an email away to talk to persons.
Excellent.
That's it.
Well,
guess what? We spoke for an hour.
Now here's the joke, folks who are watching this live or on the replay. Ms. Lowe said, I asked her, now how much time do you have? Well, we don't got really much to talk about. And she says, she basically challenged me to get an hour of her time. And I said, I've done over 2,000 of these. You really shouldn't go there. Because if I really wanted to, I could go for another hour because I've got enough stuff percolating in here to go for another hour. But she has work to do, and I have to thank her because she's not 100% because she has the flu. She took the time out of her positive, productive schedule to share with us. So I wasn't going to mention about the hour. I was going to let you mention that.
But you're awesome. You really, really are awesome. You are awesome. You did an awesome job.
Well, look who I'm working with. I got you, and I've got Black Leopard PR Nicole. I can't be behind. I got to be with you or ahead of the pack. So, I don't.
And I'm going to show my book. I don't know if you can see this. This is my book.
There it is. We can see it. Yep.
So when you go on Amazon or Amazon or Indigo, that's my book.
Excellent. Well, Be Happier Today is saying thank you because I gave her a shout out, and that's the type of individual I am. I give shout outs. I am Dr. Vibe. I am host and producer of the award-winning The Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. If you would like to watch replays of Epic Conversations like this one, go to YouTube. Put in the YouTube search engine, the_VIB_SHOW, and you'll be able to catch over 400 replays of Epic Conversations. Now, if you want to listen to audio versions of my Epic Conversations, you can go to my website, the_VIBESHOW.com. You can also go to Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, Google Play Music, and also iHeartRadio. You can also listen to selected audio replays at thegoodmanproject.com and also at WJMSradio.com out in New York. I'm also a certified empowerment coach. I'm president and CEO of Express Your Vibe Coaching and Communications. If you would like a complimentary 30-minute empowerment session with myself, reach out to me via Twitter at drvibeshow. You can also email me dr.vibe@the_drvibeshow.com. You can also go to my website and go to the top and click on Contact the Dr. Vibe Show, and you'll get an option of contacting me via email, video, or audio through your digital device. Also, I am a brand ambassador for the only online magazine dedicated to African Americans in food, wine, and travels. And Karen mentioned about food earlier. Yes, it's called Cuisine Noir Magazine, and the website address is cuisinenoirmag.com. Another thing that I do, provide a service called Getting Media Coverage, where I help entrepreneurs and businesses get media promotions so they can elevate their business. And also, you can catch me every Friday morning, on WURD Radio out of Philadelphia. It is Pennsylvania's only publicly owned black radio station. They are on AM and FM in Philadelphia area. They're also online via their website, and also you can listen to them streaming-wise through their app on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. So that is it. You see, I try to keep up with people like Karen and Nicole. So few last things. I want to say thank you to the people who joined during the conversation live or replay. So that's Charisse, that is Nicole, and check out Nicole at BLPR, Black Leopard Public Relations, and also Louise Noel Ambrose. Thank you so much for joining live, and also to This Is Eileen out in California, and anybody else. Thank you so much. It's appreciated and not taken for granted. 3 last things. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Next up, sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. And then finally, block assumptions. Thank you so much for watching live. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And Karen can relate to this. Walk good. Good night, everybody.